on what I'm doing, and then you're going to. Did we get back with Did we get our Instagram?
It's interesting. I
Oh
thought we
yeah,
were live, but we were not live all that time.
really?
We got the call from Gwendolyn. I was like, "What's going on?" I said, "If Gwendolyn's calling, then it means I thought we were live." But
Oh, me
guys,
too.
we're having this great conversation. So
Yes.
welcome. We've had our great conversation without y'all. So welcome. First of all, welcome to Touch Base Daily. So sorry that you guys. Maybe that's why Instagram wasn't working.
Yes. Ah,
I wasn't
look.
on live. That is, you know what?
This
This
I
is
love
crazy.
so
And I
much.
was looking at all the feed going through. I thought we were live because everyone was
Yes.
communicating. But anyway, we are live now, y'all. Can y'all now see us? It says we're live. No one. I got like a little warning from the Instagram, from LinkedIn saying, you're supposed to be on time.
We were. Tell them
Well,
they're supposed to be automatic. Yes.
this is the first.
Yeah, we can start it all over again. Well, that's
We'll
okay.
start it all over again.
I
But
got all day.
guys,
I don't know about the rest
we
of you
had
all.
we had a great conversation here without y'all that we thought you were here with us.
We can do it again. Look,
We can do it all again. We
you
can start
ready?
it all
I'm ready.
again.
I can talk to you all day. So hey,
This is,
you all
I mean,
now they get the joy that I was getting talking to you.
yes, because we had a good time. We were just talking. We were just having a great conversation. Welcome everybody to Touch Base Daily. The conversation had already started I thought surely we were live. I hit the intro button and everything, but it did not go live. But anyway, my apologize. I apologize for not clicking the right button. And now we're on. So, guys, welcome to the stage, Tonia Fisher. And so, let's see how we can pivot here. First of
Okay,
all,
we can go all the way back.
she's already here, and this is what we do, and we do live. This is it. This is how we do it. Now I understand. I missed the button. My bad. Um, so Tonia's here. She's sharing with us about copyright, trademark. She's a lawyer in this field. She has a passion for this field. I ran into Tonya through Gwendolyn, and I saw her on her show, and I was like, Tonya is amazing. I mean, and like I mentioned earlier, which you guys did not hear, but I was saying that when Toya was speaking, when she was speaking to Gwendolyn, I was sitting there like, yo, I was so uneasy as a business owner, but it felt good that I was hearing this information. It was like I was being torn apart from left to right. Part of me was like, wow, this is amazing information. And then the other part was to me saying, hey, you know what? Ron, you need to get it together legally because a lot of times we think we know what we think we know, but we don't know what we don't know. Did I say it right? Did I say it right, Tonya?
That's it. That's exactly it. That we
So,
don't know. We
so
don't know.
welcome to the stage. It's amazing. I was talking for a whole half hour
Yeah.
without you. We were just going. We were
Sorry,
just
you all. I mean, enjoying ourselves.
So
We can
guess what,
do it
guys? We
again.
will go into overtime a little bit.
Yes.
So I got
Please
Tonya
stay with
here.
us. It's good. It's good. At least
And
it's
so
good.
since we did talk about this earlier, and I do want you guys to hear some of the interesting. So Tonya and I were talking about what is her favorite thing if she was marooned on an island and that she had to have,
Yeah.
and she told me, Tonya, share it.
Cheesecake. Cheesecake. Listen to me, people. Cheesecake. Can I get closer to the camera? Cheesecake is a food group. I'm a fitness person. Cheesecake is a food group. Okay. Vegan. They have
Yes.
vegan cheesecake. I eat it too. Cheesecake. Cheesecake.
Oh my God. And what else we were
Oh,
saying? And some items that are
oh,
things that you people don't know about you that you love that I know you love.
yeah.
Your favorite TV show?
Yes. Bluey. I'm sure everybody else loves Bluey too. You know, Blue. Yes, the Disney Bluey. The dogs, yes. And Muffin Cupcake Healer is my favorite. She is my bestie in my head. But I love Bluey so much. It is like the cutest. I cry all the time. It's just the absolute best show. I love my Bluey. Yes, I can't help it.
Wow.
Grown,
Wow. And
grown person.
so we got cheesecake you love if you were stranded on an island,
Yes.
and Bluey if you had a
Mhm.
television to go with it. Oh my
I
God.
would.
So the question that we talked about earlier, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad that we now have the whole team here. Our whole family is here.
Everybody.
Everybody is in the building.
Yeah.
And oh, I see someone's birthday. Whose birthday is
Oh,
today? Someone has a birthday?
happy
Who has a
birthday.
birthday?
Who's birthday?
So who has a birthday? Gary. Happy birthday. Gary says happy birthday. Someone's saying happy birthday. Who has a birthday? I don't see it.
Bada bing, bada bing.
I
Happy
want to say happy
birthday.
birthday. But anyway, so
Yes. Celebrate, celebrate.
Tonya,
Yes.
how did you get?
Oh,
Let's
yes.
start it. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You decided to go into law, but not just any law. Most people are like, oh, I want to be a criminal law. I want to really go into the courtrooms and the
Right.
drama.
Good luck to you. That's, yeah.
You picked copyright,
Hmm.
trademarks, patents. What what was the catalyst that brought you into that field, into the field you're in today, that said, you know what, I think this is where I want to go? Share.
And I remember we were talking about that a little bit because about how I remember when I was applying to college, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be this trilingual corporate attorney and everything like that. And I was telling you that I thought that you only went to law school to become a company executive, a CEO, because all of the CEOs were attorneys. So I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do corporate law just so I can run a company. No intention of ever practicing law. Like, what is that? That
Mhm.
didn't really even excite me. You know, it wasn't a factor. Law was cute, but I needed to run a company. So a lot of times you're in college, right? So you get, and I went to University of Virginia undergrad. So we got a lot of acts from New York, the best. In the 90s, the hip hop, everybody, even R&B. But people would come down and then everybody, you know, you're younger a lot of times. So you get to hang out with some of the artists and we would hang out and I'm like, okay, let's go get something to eat. And everybody's like trying to scrounge around money. And you're like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I just bought how many of your CDs? You're in your third CD. I'm like, I've been watching you on television. You just put on a concert. You're everywhere. Why are we scrounging around trying to get some pizza slices? You know, like this is ridiculous. And then you find out that people don't have any money. And you're like, excuse me, I've given you all my money. You should have some money, you know. And it comes to find out if they did have rights, if they wrote
Yeah.
anything, they've
Yes.
assigned them to someone else. Or
Mm.
um, basically that's it. Or they didn't even know what rights they had because it's an art form. You just want to
Yes.
share. You just want to get out there, show your creativity. A lot of times you're just getting the contract. You're just happy to have a contract. You're like, hey, everybody, you know how it is. I got a
Right.
music
That's
contract,
right.
you know, the record contract. I'm good for this and everything like that. You feel like you're signed. I'm up, you know, this is about to blow up. And then you're sitting around, you're doing these shows back to back. You're still living in your mama's basement, as they say. And you're looking at college kids trying to help, you know, get a slice of pizza with them. You know, like, can y'all get us some pizza? I'm like, dude, yes. But that's what made me say, oh my God, this cannot happen. This cannot
Right.
happen to my favorites. And I can't
Yes.
have anyone else who's talented like this come up and not know their rights, have their rights and taken have their rights taken away from them because it wasn't fair to me, you know.
Wow.
And it wasn't. I wanted to get out of that corporate side and really. It was the trademark and copyright part of it to me. So it wasn't
Yes.
even the full entertainment, but entertainment is everything. People don't realize that. You know, if you're in criminal law, we were talking about that. You're good with entertainment,
Yes.
but that was it was the rights, the trademark and copyright, the not glamorous.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you said also that earlier we were talking, you were in patents before.
Oh, yes.
How
Oh,
how now what how did you get into patents, and then why did you drop it? I
oh,
mean, yeah.
well, it was really by accident. It was I was working for the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I'm a former USPTO trademark examining attorney. So it was one of
Yes.
those years after the dot-com boom, if anybody remembers that, that we started to run out of applications, which was understandable,
Yes.
So during that time, we were going through like a RIF, which is reduction in force. And so for those who had science backgrounds, and I used to be a chemistry major, they said, okay, if you want to go to the patent side, we'd love to keep you all employed. Go over to the patent side. So I went over to the patent side. um, Patents are amazing. If you can find an amazing patent attorney, let me tell you, they are at the top of the top. Like, I love patents. What it is just not the area that I wanted to continue with. It's really the trademarks and the copyrights, those rights, because
Mm-hmm.
those are a little bit more everyday small business rights. Not to mention, though, there are many of you all with amazing methodologies and inventions. Please pursue those patents, right? Pursue those
Yes.
patents. Those are important. But just deep into everyday business, even before you get to that, that's when we're dealing with a lot more trademark and copyrights. And I was a little bit more into the everyday, and that's what happened. And my background was chemistry, and if there was anything I would have wanted to do was business method patents. So we won't get into all of that. But
Yes. Yes.
so then, when the trademark office, when we started getting more applications, then I went back on that trademark side. Yeah,
So what's the difference between copyright, trademark,
great question.
patent? I think that one is physical, one is verbal, one is literal.
Oh,
I mean, what
this is
and
the
just
best
so the
question
audience knows, my
because
background in law is only 2 classes I've taken. I took business law one, business law two, working on torts and all that other stuff that happened in business. But and we did do copyright, we did do trademark, but I am curious so people will know the difference between what is the copyright laws, what's the difference between copyright, trade, and patents, and when do you need them?
okay, and this is so important because that's one of the things that people don't know what they have, and there's so much value in these three rights, these three, well, basically that's what they are, right? Pieces of whatever you have. So we'll go through the patents are the big one that you usually people talk about, um, because they tend to be the most lucrative on the front end because those
Hmm.
are inventions or methodologies. So think of, I love to tell people about Legos. Like, that's an invention. When you look at it, that has a patent. Okay, and we'll use that all together. We know about computer system software. You think about your iPhone. Of course, you'll get a patent on the invention, the software. All of there's so many different things that you can have with like your phones, but that's more of your inventing something, the methodology of how something works. There
Hmm.
are patents on even shoes. When you're thinking of foods, just the makeup of things and how they come to be. So, like, I'm
Hmm.
thinking of chemical patents or the like. So, when you think of an invention or you're inventing something, I didn't do the mechanical things, but light bulbs, how they go
Yes.
in. That's your patent. So, you're looking at more of an invention, okay? A methodology,
Right back.
something more or less of how things function, right? It's more to that because there are different type of patents, but when you are trying to get a hold of the concept of the three, think more of an invention, something that's function that has working pieces.
So it's like it's something created, tangible. Like for instance, when you see like the cup with a certain cup that's designed, the cup that a lot of restaurants have in their store, on the bottom says patented, patent as like a because it's a particular style, it's a particular makeup.
Wow.
Is
And then
that
that's
it?
when things because it can be on a like their design patents, where
Yeah.
there's functionality. And this is where I'm going to throw people for a loop. But listen to me, because this is important and you don't hear about it. So if it's a design patent where it's something, it's functional about how that cup can maybe keep something cold, how your um, I almost said the T word, which is a trademark, but how a insulated cup can keep something either cold or hot, then you get a patent on that, because
Mm,
that is functional, right?
yes.
Now, if you're looking at a design, so then we're going to talk about, so like a glass, there's something called trade dress. And trade dress is the design. So like you can get a trademark design. So if you think about like the Coca-Cola bottle,
Yes.
that's trade dress. When you see it, you know it. You can stick the soda in a can, okay? You don't need to have your soda in that bottle. But when you see that bottle, then you're like, oh, that's a Coca Cola bottle. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Usually I have
That's
a
a
whole
good
slew of them.
that's a good example because Coca-Cola
Hmm.
is one of those companies that literally has obviously a copyright for its name. Am I
Nope, that's a
or
trademark,
the
but that's okay
trademark
because this is a perfect example. Yes.
trademark for its name.
For
I'm hoping I'm
Coca-Cola.
going around the
Yep.
copyright for its colors, like the color. No, is that still
Yep,
trademark too?
that's trademark too. And that's what people don't realize what they have
Ah,
with the trademark. So I'm going to for trademarks, because that is my love first. And
yes,
because people don't realize, and this is what I need you all to do when you have your companies, know your assets, know the not necessarily value, but know that you have valuable assets. You don't have to know the exact value of them, but know that things that you do every day are valuable. So your a trademark is basically a source identifier. It's known as a source identifier. If I see it, if I know it, if I have it, if I'm interacting with it, when you think of your brand, your name, there's Tonia from Chicago, or Tanya that does that. You know that Tanya, you everybody could be named Tanya, but there's something distinctive in that brand. But let's put it here with trademarks. It's identifying where something is coming from. And
mm,
G, forgive me, and I don't know, Ron, if you're Samsung or Android versus Apple iOS.
Samsung, Apple
All right.
computer.
Oh, okay. Well, see, exactly,
Yes,
exactly. But going with, let's use like Apple. We know that Apple is the company. So if we see an iPhone or whatever or a Mac, we know that that comes from Apple. You have your iPhone, your Apple. How to put it nice? I don't say groupies, and we won't say cult.
yes,
People
yes,
like me who you're going to buy it because it's the feeling of it, but you are married to that brand because it's the quality, it's the think different, which was their slogan, that draws you to them, right?
yes.
So it's the identifier. If you know of an iPhone and you hear about it, you know Apple. So with that, you can have not only the name Apple, you can have taglines, the slogan, think different, right? Now let's get into colors.
Right.
So here's some of the colors. So people think of names and slogans. Tiffany blue,
Tiffany
register, right?
blue,
That robin egg. Louboutins, right? We know
Louis
those
Vuitton.
red. So
Yes,
yes, so that's a color. UPS. What do we know about them? It's the brown truck. It's UPS
yes, right.
brown. Even if you
UPS Brown.
see
And
um,
Jay-Z. Jay-Z created a color for his
oh,
daughter, blue. I think it
blue.
was,
And if
yeah.
you continuously, it's a couple things you have to do to have that acquired distinctiveness where someone will know that for sure when they see a color, it is attached to you. They know the source of it.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the trademark. It's that source. Where is it coming from? When you encounter it in the market, when someone sort of describes it, who is it tied back to? Sense. There's certain scents, Chanel perfume or something like that, right?
Yes.
So while you can get, there could be an interchange between, like what goes into that if you get patented for a certain scent. But if that smell is so distinctive that that it goes to that source, you can get a trademark for it. Sound,
Mm,
NBC chimes. So you can get a sound for that. So if in photography that you always have something in your photos, your art, whatever that you do, that there's always something that's distinctive to you, trademark. You know how so there's like, that's my trademark. That's
yes.
my mark on things. It's the source of immediately identifiable by those who engage with it. So you have to think about it in that way. So yes, we talk a lot about reputation, but it's really the source of it, whether the reputation is good or bad, but where something's coming from, that immediately, if you don't remember the name sometimes,
Yes.
you understand, okay, this comes from, and this is where we get into branding or things that, okay, maybe I remember that color. Maybe I remember the sound. If I see UPS, if for some reason you can't remember UPS, you know that brown
You know
truck,
the
the
truck.
brown
You
truck,
know the color of
whatever,
the truck.
right? Or somebody a slogan you can't. It's like, if I say just do it,
You know it's Nike.
if for some reason you can't think Nike, or McDonald's, I'm loving it. It's whatever that ties back to that source, and that's the best part, because if you built up so much like good in your brands and in what you're doing, right? You don't want someone to diminish that in any way, to dilute it by having it all over the place. Like you want it exclusive to you. You want to be able to share. And then second, you definitely don't want anyone to damage the goodwill, the good that you've done that everyone knows, by utilizing your name and doing something crazy with it. So that's
Wow.
why trademarks are important. Okay. Now,
Wow.
copyright. I want to slide in really quick and say something about that, because copyrights are a big thing that people don't realize that they have, that happen automatically. And we can go through all of like when things happen, but copyright is when you create a work. And particularly for photographers, this, you and G and Peggy really have me like deep diving into the rights, the intellectual property with photography. But for copyright, you have to think of, it's that creative work. It is a creative work. We said something earlier about a tangible form. So as soon
Mm-hmm.
as you write something down, as soon as that photo is taken, not
Mm.
necessarily because people are thinking, oh, well, it's not going to come into being until it's physically developed or
On
something
paper.
like that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we don't need that, because if it's in a tangible form where somebody can really extract or benefit from, it's not in your head about how I'm going to position people, or how I'm going to look at the wildlife or anything
Yes.
like that. That's still in your head, but once it gets to actually being taken, put in some form, you got a copyright, and that's a automatic, and it's on creative works. People who are listening to me, photographs, photography, copyright. Okay, people have rights to those. Like, that's not something that you just send around and distribute or think that you can do. I'm on my
Right.
soapbox about
Right.
that with photography. That is a art form. That is a creative work that you can't just reproduce, redistribute, because those are some of the rights that you have.
Yes.
Um, Performing things like choreography. I do a lot of fitness. People don't realize choreography. You see all the TikTok stuff, but
Yes.
choreography is a creative work, and you get copyright in it. So
Now,
does that
is the
help a little bit? I'm
you're
going on
saying,
and on.
so Tanya,
Yeah.
is it that it happens automatically, or do you have to fill out forms and
Nope.
send the
Nope.
forms into the government? And so every picture you take, you gotta, put send the paperwork in.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
it's okay, because that's the thing. And let's hang on for copyright for a little bit. So copyright, as soon as it's in that tangible form, you have it. Now, to get the maximum rights, because then there's this thing called statutory rights where you get money if someone infringes. You can take someone to court always. Do not feel that if you have not registered your copyright, registered your work with the Copyright Office, that you're not going to be able to sue someone for infringing upon what they've done. You just won't get the maximum rights by law, okay? Because there are specific, and take that with a grain of salt as well too, because there are specific amounts per violation that you're guaranteed. Doesn't mean that you won't get that amount of money and more if you sue someone, depending on what it is, but those are statutory damages, penalties for whoever does it, that you are entitled to regardless, okay?
Yes.
So that's why it's very important. The second thing is you want to put people on notice. And I always tell people there are two things to do. Again, we'll go back to trademarks, but let's stay with copyrights. The easiest thing to do is what? That copyright notice, right?
Yes.
You put the the year, we all know that notice. You have to put people on notice. Mind you, you have it already. It's not required that you put people on notice. But if you're going to claim something, you better be out there telling people, hey, I told you I have this. So you willfully now went away. Because like some people are like, well, I didn't know, they didn't say anything. I thought they were sharing it. I mean, there are people who just share their things and say, hey, everybody, you can utilize this the way you want to. But if you want to maintain or claim certain rights, what you need to do, you put people on notice. I am claiming rights to this. So now you know that I'm claiming these rights. I'm claiming ownership of this. If you want to use it, you have to ask for permission. You have to get consent. A lot of things you can't automatically put that on, right? Like a photograph, that's where you're going to put that, right? That if you don't want to damage the beauty of it, the creativity, we may talk about watermarks, but when do people see that? So you have to verbally put people on notice. They should know. Yes, they should know. They shouldn't do it, okay? But 8 times out of 10, people just don't understand what's going on. They're sharing it. They're like, it's a photograph. Particularly, and we were talking about this the other day. People feel like they're the subject matter.
Yes.
When they're the subject matter of like a photo that it belongs to them. And I'm like, no, you're the subject matter. You're not the owner. So what you pay for is to have a piece of the creativity, right?
Yes.
Depending on if your contracts, and we'll go back to the contracts, like you can assign the rights, you can give people certain rights, you have rights, you can give someone for a limited period of time the right to reproduce. Maybe they can put it on their Instagram in a certain manner. You need to stipulate. So the two things you do, you put people on notice, I have rights. And if you want to use this, you get my permission, but I'm going to tell you, you're not just going to do it the way you want to do it. I'm going to tell you what rights you have.
Wow.
So,
here's a question. Now, there was a photographer.
Okay.
He was traveling, left the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Japan. He came out of the airport, went into the book stand, and there his photo was on a billboard with his dog playing with all these color balls. And it was used for an advertisement in Japan. And so he was able to get money for it after, it had to go to court and everything. I guess because of what's called international law, or there's an international part to this, that he saw his picture in an average. I mean, how random is that? I mean, he just comes out of the airport, and there it is, his photo and the reason why he was able to win the case is because the dog is his dog. So it's like it wasn't just any dog, it was his dog. and
Look
he
at
had
that.
the date that they took the picture.
Oh goodness.
I mean,
Oh,
he had the
yeah.
picture date that his wife, they were home. They took this picture of the dog. The dog was playing in all these colorful
Yeah.
balls, and then someone used that. So he posted it online, maybe on Instagram or somewhere, and
Okay.
someone took that photo and used it for marketing in Japan.
So much involved with that. So that is two different
That was
things. Well, it's a couple of different things. So that
now that
wasn't
falls under copyright, correct?
right. So that would be the copyright. And here's the sense of that. So one of the things is to know what you have, to know the assets, the intellectual property assets you have. If you have trademarks, if you have copyrights, if you have patents. Second is you put people on notice, right? You
Yes,
maintain the rights. Sometimes you need to register them for certain things. You definitely, I always say register, but again, copyright happens when it happens. That person isn't going to get a copyright on a photo that they take, right? They're not
yes,
thinking of that. So the next thing is, but as business owners, that you are saying you have all these rights. You want to get mad at people if you haven't put them on notice. You put them on notice. So you put people on notice, right? What
yes,
are you supposed to do next? You have to maintain, monitor. So to manage your rights in order to be able to really reap the benefits of those rights, you
yes,
have to, and this is separate from what happened to him. I'm going to go back in, but it does bring up a thing of you have to go in and look around
yes,
for if anyone's infringing upon your rights. Is it fair? No, but do you want to maintain your rights? Sometimes you have to work to keep your rights. Unfortunately, people aren't going to do the work for you. They're
yes,
not going to be on the up and up for you. So what you have to do is be very diligent in two things. After you said, I have these rights, you put people on notice, you have to look around and make sure no one's violating these rights. It's
yes,
like for people who have communities, if someone's saying, if you're saying there should be no harassment, right?
yes,
You have to make sure that there's no harassment. You have to look around. If something's going on, you have to pull people back.
yes,
And that's the next important thing. We're going to go back to that photo, but here it is. You're telling me you have rights. You better put people on notice. The second thing, you need to make sure that people aren't just having your things all over the place because what does that do? That diminishes your rights because you're not looking out to see that people aren't damaging or diminishing or diluting your rights. You're just letting it go. And so if
yeah,
one person sees that, then another person is going to see it because they're like, well, evidently this is something I can do too. Then it just, um, escalates. It would be the word. It's better. Just it
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
double or keep going, but it
Because other
escalates.
people now say if he can do it or she can do
Right.
it, then I can do it too. So,
Or
and
it's
the more
out
people
there.
start doing it, and you don't respond to the first person that did it, then it's taken as we're all able to just do it.
Right. Because you don't even know. Because by the time that 10th person got to it, the fourth person didn't even know where they got it from, right? So it's been
Yeah,
passed around. So there's no way to catch it. And it's hard. They're monitoring services for different things. For trademarks, it's easier because it's words, things, those come up. But are you combing the earth? Are you flying everywhere where you're going to see
right.
your
I mean,
photo
like,
around?
how often would anyone just be for going through the terminal in Japan in Tokyo? I mean,
Exactly. You got
I
to
mean, it's
try your
so
best.
random that he accidentally came across it.
Right. Like, and then that's something that you wouldn't even think to register at that in any case. But for whatever mechanisms you have that you can find a way to keep track of what's going on, you want to make sure to do that. The second thing is, okay, so now you see this going on in the airport, right? You're like, oh my goodness. There are two ways you can react to that. Look, my picture is in the airport. I'm famous. Or there's another way. I should say there are three ways. I am so flattered that someone put my picture. They're clearly making money if it's big enough for you to see it. Someone's making money
Yes.
off of what you're doing. So the flattery ends when they get paid and you don't. And it's really bad when they're making money, you don't make any money, but you don't even get notoriety for doing the thing.
Yes.
So what do you need to do? You're claiming you have rights. You put people on notice. You monitor it. You see it happening. You have to enforce those rights.
Wow.
And that's the key once it gets to that point. A lot of people are like, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. It's just this happened. And this is where we're talking about don't get too overzealous.
Yes.
But there are
Yes.
points where you have to say, hey, if you want it taken down, tell the person, be nice about it. Don't be like, you got my stuff over there. This is ridiculous. I didn't give you,
Yes.
permission.
Yes.
Be tactful, because then there are two things. People can be mean, and that's not something that you are like, okay, I should be worried about somebody being mean. But that makes it harder for you, because then you can't get back in touch with them to figure out what's going on. Some people just don't know, right? So they'll say,
Yeah.
okay, I'll take it down. I'll take it down. I'm sorry. They may give you a little back and forth, about, well, I got it from such and such. Okay, I don't care where you got it from. I just told you that you don't have permission. So let's start from that point, that
Yes.
now because now you're willfully
Yes.
violating my rights. So take it down. And most people will, they might even be
Most people will do
embarrassed.
it. Most people don't do it with malicious
Right.
reasoning or cause. Am I
Exactly.
saying the term? Am I saying the law term correctly?
Yeah, they're not maliciously doing it. People aren't even willfully. Okay, willfully, you're
Willfully
doing
or
it nicely.
malicious, right?
Because you could be sharing it. Like, yeah, I'm willfully sharing. Oh my God, I love this. Ron did this to me. I want everybody to know about it. So I'm
Right.
willfully sharing it.
Sharing.
I don't mean anything by it. I'm
But
actually trying to
you
be
definitely,
helpful,
but
but
you brought in,
maliciously, I know you got the rights. I'm not paying you.
but Tonya,
Yes.
you totally debunked a myth.
Okay.
And I want everyone to
Oh,
really
what?
know about it, especially as photographers. A lot of folks in the photography world watch this platform, and they are like my number one go-to,
And I love
and
you
then
all.
making
Maintain your
sure that
rights,
they know
please.
information.
Yeah.
And knowing that you are protected under copyright law no matter what, meaning you think it, you create it, either it's on paper, it's digital, it's
It just has to be
it's
in a form that
it has to be in
someone
the
else
form.
can, like
It's
the
out of the
tangible
head, and
form.
now
Right.
it's in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone also mention a trick of this is they call it their trick of the trade
Oh Lord, which one
is
is this one?
that
Let me get closer. Mm-hmm. Because you know
this
how we
was their
do.
a trick of the trade was,
Mhm.
and is that if you wrote, let's say you took a picture,
Okay.
you take a picture, you can put a copy of it and send it to yourself.
Oh, the poor man's copyright, right?
Yeah, the poor
Yeah.
man's copyright. So you know about you obviously you don't being the
Because
lawyer
they're
you
trying
are.
to maintain the date. So the thing is when you're making a claim to something, it's
Yes.
like, well, who had it first? When do your rights go back? Or because that's why you see the notification and the date, because this is the
Yes.
date when it's out there. There's also a sense of when something is published, because then your rights change a little bit between something being published and something not being published, created but not published. So that comes into because you already have the rights when it's created. But here's the key: if you haven't really published it, right, now it's in your house, you created it, and someone comes to your house, it's nowhere, you haven't put it online, and someone's in your house and they happen to see it, and then they copy it and send it out. Now you haven't published it anywhere. It's just sitting on your desk. It's just, coming out of the dark room. I'm like, do they still have it? Yeah, I know. Then, wait,
It's
I'm
coming.
like,
It just finished drying after the
there's
dark
no
room.
gray here. There's no gray here. I'm work nowadays. I'm like, am I still
This
with my
it came
developing?
out of the printer.
Right, exactly, right. So if it's out of the printer, the ink is dry, right? And you haven't published it anywhere, but someone comes in and maybe even they take a picture of it. The next thing there's a picture everywhere. You haven't published it anywhere, right? No one's supposed to know about this but you, but someone. Do you think you're going to get more rights? Not well, definitely not the rights, but more damages from someone displaying or reproducing that photo that was just sitting on your desk, or one that you've put out already for the whole world to see. And
Wow.
that's why,
So what
um,
happens? What happens to
oh,
the person that took your idea, publishes the idea, makes money off the
mhm.
idea? What happens to the person that came with the original idea? Does he or
Well, then
she
that's
have the
when you
right?
say that you have these rights, but clearly it's just like, well, would I get definitely more damages from someone or have it's a sense of like more of the damages, the penalty, the money you're going to get, right? From
Right.
someone who violates your rights where you haven't put it out into the world yet. Because that's the thing of something being secret. If you let everybody know, then of course, people are going to see it more and you understand that definitely have rights from them infringing. I'm just saying that at a point where it hasn't been published,
Yes.
that's more, as we like to say, not malicious, but that's more that it was more of yours not to be shared
Wow.
because you didn't get a chance to share it yet.
Mm.
And so when we're talking about things, even with dates or so, it's like, well, then this person is saying, I had this, and the other person, well, I did this, I was thinking of it, and it came from me. But if you can show, well, no, think about, putting this here. A lot of you get this with music. So maybe let's bring it back to music to bring this back because I was giving you a point of damages, but let's bring it back to dates. There's a song that comes out, right? And it sounds similar to another. So you're going to say, well, this song that I wrote and published for people to hear came out in 1990. But the
Yes.
next person has something that comes out in 2010. Sounds similar, right?
Yes.
And they're like, okay, but I have rights to that because that was my song first. And the person's like, no, 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 no. It's my song. I came up with it. But you know how you hear a song
Yes.
and it came out before and you will hear it tune. You may not remember where you heard it from, right? And not to say that you didn't have that creativity. You may have never heard that song.
Yes.
You just great minds think alike. But at least that was out before. So someone can claim that in 1990, I came out with this. So I have rights to it. This infringes upon what I did. So we're going to go back to the poor man's copyright. I know I went all the way around the
No, no,
circle.
no. That it's important.
So the reason someone does that is they used to, what happened? You get the postmark, right?
Right. You
So
get the
I can
postmark.
say in my mind, I did it in
And you're not allowed
1990
to open the envelope, so they say.
because, right, because you could have stuffed something else in there, right?
Exactly. So you
So
can't
if they,
until something happens with that particular photo, and now you bring it before the courts.
right.
Then that's when you actually
Right. But
open.
people relied on that. Like it's helpful. It's helpful for evidence that you had it on that date, but that
Yeah.
doesn't give you the copyright. That's not what's going to get you the most money. That's when
Ah,
you need to register. So if you're going to mail anything, mail that to the copyright office with the fee so that you
nice.
can actually get it registered. Because here's the thing, we talked about notice. I can stick the copyright symbol on all I want to in the date today's date on what I have here in my house. Who knows that? Who's put on notice? If you're here and you see it, you're put on notice. you register this copyright. What does it do? It puts everyone around the world on
On
notice
notice.
because it's up to them now. Now the responsibility is on them to make sure that whatever they're looking at or they see has not been registered, that there's no
Wow.
copyright on it. So you are giving full worldwide notice because I don't care if you're in Japan and this is happening. It was created in the US. You better look, that this has someone's claiming rights in the US to what they have. It's
Yeah.
easy to do. You do a copyright search, right? So then if someone's doing it, again, responsibility, whether they do it or not, then they're willfully, you're willfully going against the infringement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put this way. You do something that you know that you should do. Now you should look, you should search before you use something. You don't.
Right.
You doing it without searching means you willfully decided that you weren't going to search. Willful malicious get crazy. You're not doing it really to,
Yeah.
do it to do bad or cause harm to someone.
Okay.
But you're taking that step to not figure out the rights, to figure out what permissions you have.
Wow.
So by not doing that, then your infringement is willful because it's right there. The copyright
Wow.
office search, it's right there.
And we
You
have
just
Google.
didn't take that
We
step.
can really Google anything pretty much
Right.
these days.
It's right, and then it's there. They have a database with the name. When you do that, you register your name is in there, your contact information. So, oh, I just saw that comment. Yes. And it's important. You have to, for much, you can register it. The fees, $45 at the least for some of the things. And then you can, compilations. I used to write poetry. I should have mentioned that. It was just the type of poetry I used to write.
Poetry as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
but songs, photographs. You're not going to sit there and pay $45 for everything, that comes out,
Right.
depending. Now, some things are worth it, one piece if you have to. Otherwise, you could do compilations and you write in that, I had the copyright because now it's within that compilation, it's still under that copyright. It's
Gotcha.
still on
So
notice.
you create
Thing.
more like a volume of
Right. And then if
like
there's serious
and it's in
copyright,
that volume of information, like your
exactly.
100 poems under one title versus
Mhm.
one
Just one
individual and
poem,
paying for each
45,
one.
45, 45. You
Yes,
can pay, yeah. Go ahead.
well, we could go on this topic all
Yes.
day
Oh, yes.
because
Because it's
this
so
is
important.
and definitely we're not going to give everyone a law class on
Right. 'Cause
today. However, what it does hopefully does is give people's wheels starting to
yes.
think like, what are their rights? We talked
Mhm.
about copyright, we talked about trade, we talked about patent.
Mhm.
So Derek says here,
Yeah.
well, let me go. Yeah, Derek says here he has. I have my songs registered with the Library of Congress.
Yes. And that's the copyright office is a division of Library of Congress. So
Awesome.
yes.
Then here's another question. Someone Gary. It looks like Gary. What I think, or at least.
Slogan.
Oh, so here it goes. Gary says, asked about slogans. How do you protect slogans?
It's the same thing, and that's a trademark. And because it's
Gotcha.
like the taglines, the slogans, I'm loving it, just do it, think different.
Yes.
You register those as trademarks. And the thing is, it's that so you'll have Nike is one trademark. Your slogan is a trademark. So it's just a phrase of words, together. So that's
Yeah.
the trademark that you use, and you would register that for your particular goods or services. So slogans are, because again, people will remember slogans. I can sing the whole, we're not going to do it, but the Chicken McNugget song or something like that. And at the end, it was back in the day, McDonald's thing was McDonald's and I can have 1 McNugget, 2 McNugget, 3 McNuggets, 4. Like chicken nuggets You want to buy some more. Boneless chicken McNuggets say so fine. When you want to share, try to pack a 9. 6 pieces, 9 pieces, 20 pieces, 2 chicken McNuggets, McDonald's and you. Do not ask. I do not remember why I know that song. Ask me what I did yesterday. No.
That's a lot.
Ask me
That's a
what
lot to
family's
learn.
doing. No, that's a bit much. But then it was McDonald's and you. Everybody remembers. For some reason, I'm loving it more than anything.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Is McDonald's.
Yeah. So if you say, what's another one? Good to the last drop. The one that annoys me, but we do it. I'm like a good neighbor. You know.
I'm a pepper. You're a pepper. Be a pepper. We a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too?
And so, and it's see how long that is though. You
Yeah.
can actually trademark that because what's the source of that? What is the source of that? Like you don't want to go in for the whole jingle because jingles can be what? You can get a copyright for jingles. But if it's a slogan to identify the source, so if it's I'm loving it, think different, just do it, good to the last drop.
Those are
All right?
trademarks.
Trademark. That whole song I just did for the McNuggets,
Wow.
copyright, right? But the part at the end, McDonald's and you, can be the slogan. So it could be part of the lyrics and songs, but that's
Wow.
you get the trademark for your slogans, your taglines. Yeah.
Here's another one. Lisa says she sends all her ideas to the Writers Guild for proof. They send
Ooh.
back a certificate.
Okay. And the certificate, are they just proofing what you gave them or that? Because a lot of things too with writing, you know how it is. You'll send someone your scripts or just whatever you have. And then next thing you know, they're like, no, we're not going to do anything with that. And all of a sudden, a new movie is made
Yeah.
that's, close to. I'm going to put this in a way that bothers me, but makes a lot of sense. There's one thing, great minds think alike. And whatever idea you are thinking of now,
Yes.
someone else or several someone else's are thinking the exact same thing. They have no idea who you are. They've never come across anything that you've done. They're
Wow.
just, there's so many ideas in the world. There's some because it's just the relation of how we move through the world, what happens in life, what we see that kind of influences our imagination too. That still has nothing to do with if you put something out there or you write down that idea. Ron, you and I could be sitting here writing down the same idea at the same time. We own the copyright to whatever idea we put down. I don't care if it's the exact same idea. You
Yes.
own it when you put it down, when it's out of
On
your
paper.
head. The problem is proving
That you were
that this
first.
other person is just as genius, is a genius just like you, ingenuous.
Wow.
But so that is a crazy one. I'm trying to figure out what they do with what the certificate does, if it gives you rights or just saying that
Maybe
we
maybe it's
received
to
it.
date it. I would think if it's a certificate, they probably date it and everything, right?
Because then in the sense of how people can make derivative works of it, they would have to, if it's a check where just like the Copyright Office to protect ideas that many, yeah. And so I
Yeah.
could see that happened, that they're like, okay, so if someone else comes up with this, then they know that there's a database that they have seen it from before.
Here's another one. Hugh
Oh, yeah.
says, question, can hashtags be trademarked?
And the thing is, it depends on if you've created this hashtag as a trademark. So I'm loving it could be a hashtag. But
Yeah.
if it's something that's generic, so there are different forms of trademarks. There are these fanciful, arbitrary ones like Apple. When I think of Apple, I'm thinking of fruit, not
The computer.
electronic, company or something, software company. Dove, I think I talk about Dove all the time because Dove, for what? There are two Doves that people know about. There's Dove, like the soap, skincare products, and there's
Yeah.
Dove, the ice cream, right? And how can those
Ah,
two exist?
yes, there are. Yes, there.
So
You're
how can
right.
those two
Or
exist? Right.
not to be funny,
No, is there a dove? Another dove?
but there's an ice cream called Magnum,
Oh
and
yeah, condom.
there's the condom called
Yep.
Magnum.
We're trying not to get
So
those confused, people. Right. So they're not in the same goods and services. So you can have the same names, and we'll go back to this with the hashtags, because if the hash, it's not necessarily the hashtag symbol in front of it, the pound symbol, but it's the wording behind it. But if
yeah,
it's generic as in hashtag business tips or something, you're not going to get that because that's generic. That's not something that you can trademark.
gotcha.
So you're not looking necessarily at the hashtag. But if your business, so like when I have fit powerfully behind my hashtag, I'm claiming, the trademark to that, but I'm putting it on other things. I'm just using it as a hashtag. So for the trademarks that you are claiming, which there's common law rights to, if you have trademarks, you don't necessarily have to register those
Yeah,
either. Just make sure you're not infringing on something, someone else's. Then put those in your hashtags, because guess what? That's putting people on notice, right?
wow.
So if that hashtag goes to you, and especially I know for Instagram, you can follow your own hashtags. So what
Yes.
happens? What does that mean you're doing? You're managing, you're monitoring if someone's using your trademarks or anything like that. You follow that hashtag that you've made out of your trademark to
Yes.
see what is it going on. Okay, like it's particularly if it's something that is particular to you. It's an arbitrary name. Apple
Wow.
could mean anything, but you're still going to look up Apple on
Hmm.
the following, because you're like, okay, are they trying to do software, or are they really talking about fruit or some type of pie or whatever. So yes,
Here's
but
another one.
yeah.
What's the timeline of having something
Oof,
trademarked?
don't
I
give me a
only
hard
have
one.
experience copywriting some
Mhm.
works.
Okay. So the trademark office that I haven't looked recently. So the thing is with the trademark, if you're going to register, it is now, we're looking at 2 years. I think they last week or the week before, they were just looking at trademarks, trademark applications from May of 2023. So when I say just looking, they, maybe I think that means that they're just getting it to the law office to
Yes.
review it. Okay. So that takes time, because then they have to review it. Then they have to issue any type of office action or whatever if it's not going to publish. Then it has to go. Once that happens, you get all of that going through. It gets published. Then there's a notice of publication to let everybody know what it's on notice. I published this mark. Does anyone want to oppose it? Then you go through the registration process. So at the very least, you're looking at 2 years from when you file a registration. So that's the thing too. You can file registration. There are two types. There are use and intent to use. Again, we'll talk about, we're not going to go into a full class about all of this, but right now, if you have a trademark, that this is something you want to trademark. You've done a little bit of research on, get the application in now, because it takes 2 years at least. We're looking at to get
Wow.
it to go through, and that it's always almost been like that, even when um, applications were going through a little bit faster, because there's a process of it
It's
getting
processed.
viewed, and then if there's something wrong with it, or it's not properly put together, then there's the back and forth with that. You get three
Wow.
months it used to be 6 months, and depending on what it, so that, and then it depends on you how soon you respond. You can respond back in the day, or you could take the full 3 months.
Yes.
Then publication, if you filed intent to use, then you have to file in that you're using it. So half of that's on you, half of that's on the office. You're looking at least 2 years.
Wow. Now
Yeah,
that's well, that was some information there.
yeah.
There's
But
another one.
oh yeah, go ahead.
There's one more here. I mean, so
Oh
Janet
yeah,
just
because we're
brings it
getting
up. She
into the
says,
sorry about that.
how about the Shepard Fairey case where he used Time magazine cover of Obama and manipulated it?
Okay.
Can you take an existing something? But this happened also in the art world too, where they take a particular art and then manipulate it to a new art form.
Unless,
does
and
the
that's called
person
like
that
doing a
made the
derivative work.
original have rights?
Yeah, because it's a derivative work. And I'll put that in the sense of when you think of someone wrote a book, turned into a screenplay. So that's a derivative work, right? Turned into a play, then turned into a screenplay, then turned into a movie. Each time that's a derivative work of the original work, which was a book.
Oh,
And you need
wow. Did not
permission
know that.
to put it in another form. So if I were just to create another book where reproduce, oh, you're making copies. So people think of copies like somebody copying something, but to put something in another form, like if it's in a book and you make it visual, but even it could still stay in written form. We're going from, I decided to adapt this book into a play. I saw the play. I'm going to adapt. So here's the rights. So you have the rights in that original book. Then you have the rights that may have been given to say, okay, you can make a derivative work. You can make a play out of my book. So someone wants to make a screenplay off of the play. So now you have the person who has the rights in the book, the person who has the rights in the play that they created a different creative work. It's not the exact same as the book. Maybe they
Yes.
changed things around a little bit, right? So then
Yes.
they have rights in that play. So you need permission going back to the book, to the play. Now we got the screenplay. If the
Mm.
screenplay is based on the play, then we're going on into the movie based on the screenplay that's based on the play that's based on the book. The rights don't end when somebody else gets to it. You got to tie those rights back to the beginning as well.
Wow.
And then you got
Whoa,
other
that
rights,
is
but you need permissions. So you may need permission from a lot of people that you don't even realize,
wow.
depending on how
Man,
you extrapolate. But you have to get permission and consent. You cannot create a separate work and think that you have, whether you put creativity into it or not, you are deriving it from something that was original, that was already in existence, that somebody has all the rights to. So you give them the right to create a movie, you give them the right to create art. That I have that right to do whatever I want to do with it. You cannot do something else just because I haven't done it. Look at me, I'm
wow.
like, but this is how I want you to feel about it. Okay. Share your creativity and love. Okay. Ooh, okay. Yes. I'm
Here's
seeing.
a comment. I feel deepfakes should be seen as infringements of
Oh God,
intellectual
yes.
property,
Yes.
especially if used maliciously.
Yes. They are, whether somebody is deep faking nicely, if they're trying to put you in a like that is an infringement, because what is that again? That is another form, a derivative of that original work. And so, and it's um not manipulating, confusing. The word I'm trying to think of is that you are, what are you doing badly when you're trying to confuse somebody, or
Oh,
the misinformation, but you're deceiving. How can I not say
deceiving,
deceiving? Deceiving is a good
deception.
word to know. So you're deceiving someone into thinking that there's something there that wasn't there.
Wow.
Okay. So even if you're doing it nicely and, you're creating something that looks amazing, that puts someone in what you would consider a better light, you're still deceiving someone if you're not saying what it is. And then you're infringing on somebody's rights of wherever you got that original from to make that deep fake. You don't have
Here's one
permission.
more question, and then we're
Oh,
gonna close.
sorry.
And then here's
I
one
can talk
more.
all day. Yes.
Oh no, we can, we can. And Derek says, "Where do I actually go to trademark a slogan?"
Okay, the best place to go, and I'll tell you why. You want to get your trademark from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's uspto.gov, and that's because those are federal rights. So that goes across all states. Yes, you can get trademarks in your state. But listen to me, when you do that, when you go to the Secretary of State or whatever your state office, that trademark is only for your particular state. So if you're in California, that only applies to put people on notice in California. You only have the rights for those in California. You don't have rights if someone's in New York, if they're in Florida, if they're in Texas, then you need to get national rights. And the only way you can do that is at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office,
Mm.
and you file for a trademark there. Copyright is copyright.gov. Trademarks and patent, uspto.gov. Thanks. Yes. And I will say, I am a trademark attorney. I also used to work there, right? They have a plethora of just like so much knowledge. They are really great with if you have questions, they have programming. It could get overwhelming and confusing. So, yes, you need an attorney. And for patents and certain things, you need to have an attorney file for you. But if
Wow.
you want general information, the information is there. That's right. Like, you know the rights. So, seek out the information regardless.
Hmm.
You know, it's
Hmm.
there and they do a lot because it makes their job easier, right? It does to
Wow.
get you to help you with the knowledge. Yes.
So as we close out, I have a question. I mean, now we talked all about this law
Yes.
stuff. We talked about, yeah, we could go on and on because law is huge.
Forever, as I
That's
like to say,
why
forever and
there's so
ever.
many lawyers.
Yeah.
Law is so massive.
Yeah.
But sidebar,
Yeah.
what other things I mean, I know that you're involved in something called the L4 community. What is
Oh,
that
yeah.
about?
So speaking of law, and this is the thing, and what it is, and it stands for a couple of things, you know, when you're talking about trademarks, but it's just that what I'm trying to do is really to get you to relax, chill, lay back. So it's like a learning lounge when it comes to law. Like a lot of times it's just, you know, we get uptight. We're like, okay, what does it mean? You know, how am I going to get penalized? Or what am I going to lose on? The law you have to think of when you're a business person is that your lawyer. The law is your business fundamental. There's nothing you can do. You can't create your business without following laws and complying. So what I want you to do is have the education, not to feel like, oh my God, I got to hire a lawyer for this. Again, there's information out there, and I want to bring it to you in a way that's approachable and understandable, and yes, affordable. A lot of stuff, if you just knew, it's the law because it's a regulation, it's a rule, but it is a business fundamental. That's why when you took business law, it's the things that you do every day, your operations. So,
Wow.
this is where exactly I have workshops, discussions. It's going to open in full in April because what I'm doing now is finding out what you all really want to know. You see, I can sit here and talk all day, but if I'm talking about patents and you're concerned about copyright, it's not going to do anything for you. But I want to put it in a way where you are actually working in your business. So you understand, not that you go for a law, you don't have time. You're running your business, your creativity. You don't have time to learn all of the law. But what you do need to know is how it affects your business and what you have. So that's what we do. We actually have discussions, we talk because that's how you find out. And then we work through it. You're going to say, you get these contracts online, which there's a whole caveat about that because there are contracts everywhere. Be careful of the
Oh
contracts
yeah,
you have.
that's part two. We're going to do a
We really need to talk
conversation.
about that, people.
That's going to be
But
for another time.
yes,
But
we'll. But in these discussions, these workshops, you really figure out how to utilize them for your particular business, which is so important.
wow,
Knowledge is good, but knowing what to use that knowledge toward is the
wow,
best. Yeah.
and you also do something called
Oh,
Fit Powerfully Initiative,
yeah.
providing business and legal information and services to Black and Brown fitness entrepreneurs. What is that about?
And that's the thing, especially now for fitness, and particularly for Black and Brown people, we are just not represented. If you think about fitness, whenever you see fitness and the faces and the programming, it's not geared toward Black and Brown people. It's just, it hasn't been, it's slow to come to being. Um, but we are all into fitness. We are everywhere, right? And there are so many of us. And if we see ourselves, not only is a good representation as far as, yeah, I have this business idea, I want to do this for my community, but as being a fitness enthusiast, someone who wants to have fitness and wellness in their life, you need to see people that you feel will understand what you're going through. However, if we do not have the same thing that I'm telling you all, if you don't know what you need to know about the law that goes in your business, and this is particularly a field and industry that deals with life and death, fitness, your
Yes.
wellness, your health, you need to know the laws. You need to know the regulations. You need to have your P's and Q's, your I's dotted, your
Mhm.
T's crossed. So I want to make sure. And then, there's a lack of representation. There's a lack of just value and respect of our businesses and what we need. So you're already not having the opportunities to be in the spaces to have your business, but to also see what you need to know. Because when you're in those
Mhm.
spaces and you're having these discussions with people, you know what laws you should be working on, what business things. So I want to, it's the same thing. Just give people the opportunity to know, to have that information and to be able
Yes.
to benefit from it.
Wow.
So that's
And
what that is.
also,
It's just, yeah. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
so I guess can I go to your website?
Oh, yes. So if you go to ToniaFisher.com, you'll get to see both of those. And it's a work in progress.
ToniaFisher.com.
Yeah. So,
I think I have that here. Let me see
and
here.
let's
Hold on
see,
a
if not, did
second.
I give that to you?
I think here we
If
go.
not, yes, that is me. So you can go there. You got questions. Talk to me. It'll say 20 minutes. I'm going to talk to you to death, but it'll be for your benefit. So you just schedule out some time once you book that 20 minutes. But I'm going to talk to you
And
to
you
death.
also can be found on Instagram, correct?
Yeah.
Here, I have your
Yeah.
Instagram
So,
here.
I'm gonna give you that one because that's the private. That's not the fun. That's not the fun one.
Oh, that's
You
the
got
fun
another
one.
one? Let me give you
Did I
one.
get you another one? Okay, we'll get
So
another one
there's
for
Fisher IP Law,
Fisher
IP Law.
IP
That's all the
Law.
legal fun stuff.
Okay.
But
At
if you're in
Gmail.
the
I mean, that's the one that's on Instagram.
right, but if they
Fisher
wanted the fitness,
IP Law.
hmm
Okay, I'm
and the
gonna put that
fitness
in
one
there.
is fit powerfully, but you find the same. So if you go to that one, at least you can see over.
Oops, there we go.
Get it come up. Yes. And I'm going to be posting a lot. And, DM me. I am all okay. Yes. If you have questions, you want me to talk about something, because this is what I want. I was in the position too, and I didn't have the knowledge, and I had to go through all of this stuff, even being a lawyer. All you need sometimes is some information to help you. People are out there and they're willing to share. So seek out the information, seek out the right information,
Mm-hmm.
make sure, because there's a lot of information out there that's a little crazy, but it's there are people who are willing to help. I'm one of those people with with so many. If I don't know, I'm not a patent attorney, but I got some great amazing patent attorneys that could help you out too. So
Wow. Man, this was great. You,
that's it.
as
Running way
always,
over time.
you brought it. No, look, we started late, so we started a half hour late, so we were able to go overtime, and I think it was worth it. I think people really got something from it. I know even every time you speak, I learn something. So
Same
I'm
here.
not just
Same
learned
here with
something,
you.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
This conversation was so rewarding. And
Oh,
I
thank you.
think so many people gain something from
I
this
would say,
conversation. And
I
again, like
would
I like to
say.
say, if you gain something in here, please give first of all, like the video
Oh,
if you have here. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. And if you've been in Instagram all this time, you need to come on over to our YouTube channel, Touch Base Daily. Just come over to Touch Base Daily, just put in the search, and you'll have that. But this was so, I cannot say thank you enough.
thank
Yeah, this was
you.
so much information, so much wisdom. I see here, Miss says, she says a little
Well,
thank you,
thank you
the
for sharing
prayers.
this. It's you that really make this. It's like the gems I get from watching the Touch Base Daily that you were bringing us to others. I mean, you deserve the things, the accolades. You were so inspiring. I mean, this is how people get the benefits, right? From people like you who are sharing what they know and then bringing other people around. So you're the one that, is really at the helm of this. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to be able to share and to have the platform for this. So thank you,
Well,
Ron. Thank
I
you.
am so. Here's Janet says, so many riches in this touch base daily session today. Going to have to listen to this again.
Thank
Thanks, Ron Foster and Tonia Fisher.
you. Thank you. Oh, is a Fisher at the end too?
She's a
Yes.
Fisher. Janet is a Fisher. Y'all may be related.
Love that.
You both have the same energy. I can tell
Yeah.
you that.
I love.
You both have the
I was like,
same
we gotta be related then.
energy.
Yes.
You might be related. You might be related. Um, Gary says this was marvelous.
Gary.
Appreciate you
Look, I get
both.
so excited.
Yes,
Yes.
Gary's our man. Gary is our man.
Yes. He is
Um,
doing great things. He's doing amazing things.
yeah, it
Yes.
was so funny
This
last
is
night. I
bottom
turned on my
line. Sports
YouTube
talk.
and Gary's page just popped up because
Yeah.
I looked at it and it just came on the screen. I was like, oh, okay, Gary he posted yesterday. So check out Gary's page. Guys, again, there's a bunch of announcements I can go through, but I want to be respectful for your time. We're getting ready to head on to 1:00. I want to say thank you again, Tonya. This was absolutely wonderful. Wonderful,
And thanks for those
wonderful.
wonderful questions too. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
great.
and the audience, this community is a smart community.
Yes.
They keep it going. They know what they want, the answer. They know what questions they have in their head.
I
They're not
love you.
afraid
Like,
to, as the question presents itself, to share it, which I encourage it. I love that. When I love seeing interaction, so it's
mhm.
always good to see that. And but this was absolutely wonderful. Man, you, like I said, every time you speak, I go like, I need a drink. No.
Because I'm like, that's how this is. It should be this way. You all, this is law. This is a good part of law.
Well,
It,
and when I say that, I need a drink in a good
yeah,
way, because
right.
like how you go to an
Oh,
event,
that way. Mhm.
you hear so much wealthy information,
Yeah, you're like, wait a
and then
minute.
you need to just like chill out and like revisit and take it all in your mind, to be able to say, wow, I learned this. I learned about the copyright. I learned about the trade. I learned about patents. I learned about the Library of Congress. I mean, there were so many topics that are in this Touch Base Daily today. And
Thank you.
guys, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. Miss says value adding. This was value adding. And Janet says, you just never know. I'll contact you on your other platform about that. Y'all could be
I
cousins.
know, right? We maybe. I'm telling you.
So guys, let me I'm gonna have to close out.
I
I want to
know.
hang
I
out
don't
here.
want to go. This
I
community
want to
is so
hang out here
great.
all day with
Yeah,
Tonya, because it's like
right. We're sorry. We're hanging out after.
we're definitely
I will
hanging.
find
But
you in about
guys,
10 minutes.
yes, we're going to say goodbye to everyone. Guys, thank you so much. Check out the platform. Check out the descriptions in this video. It'll have a lot of information, some of the links that we talked about here, the government, .gov link, and all the other stuff that we have here. So we'll have that in the description. And again, reach out to Tonya if you have other conversation questions and you want to talk to her. She's so open and just like ready to just connect with you. Make sure you do that. You can reach out to her on her website, which we shared. That'll be also on the description, and also on Instagram in her DMs. You can slide into her DMs. And so that would be great. Okay, I see here a couple more comments. We'll definitely do. Brian sends a hand class. And this is, have a great day, everybody. Derek says, I'm already on USPTO checking.
Yes.
That's how I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Learning information and putting it to use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys. We're out of here. Later.